welcome back to the July episode of Miss Dr. Kenya. Well, as you can see, it is just me. I do not have a member of the Youth Council today. I do not have an expert today, yet and still. I think that we're still going to have a great conversation. This month, I want to talk to you about the idea of mastery. If you've been following me on IG, Facebook, or TikTok, and I hope that you do, then you know that we have been talking about mastery literally all month long. But why? Why is mastery so important? Why have we spent the entire month of July talking about mastery? Well, as we look to beginning the school year in August, for some folks, they are going back to school as soon as August 19th in the local area. So very soon, students will be going back to school. And I think it's important that we as caring adults understand what we need to do to set them up for success. And fostering a sense of mastery is a cornerstone, is critically important to their success. So let's talk about it. When we say mastery, what do we mean? Or at least when I say mastery, what do I mean? When I am talking about mastery, I am not necessarily talking about excelling academically. I'm not even talking about excelling at a sport. What I am talking about is feeling good and confident in yourself about some skill, some competency that you have developed. So in my opinion, mastery has nothing to do with excelling academically. It has nothing to do with excelling in sports or an extracurricular activity. It is, however, feeling good about you and your skill set, your competencies. It is taking the time to be curious, to identify something that you like, something that you're good at innately, and then developing that and feeling good about yourself as you go through the process of developing that skill. Okay, so I want to root and ground us in that particular definition as it relates to mastery. The next question that you may have, or something else that may be coming up for you is there any data, right? Miss Dr. Kenya, we talk about data and we try to make the data real. That's the whole purpose of the YouTube channel, is to give a voice to the data that we see. So is there any proof of this idea or this concept of mastery being important in the lives of children? And yes, there is. And so I recently had an opportunity to present for the Free State PTA's annual convention. So that is the state of Maryland's PTA annual convention. At the Free State PTA annual convention, I talked about validation, and I use Maslow's hierarchy of needs as my framework. So let's spend some time very quickly talking about Maslow. And if you know me again, you know that I am a fan of Maslow. I'm very intrigued by his theory. I think that it is absolutely incredible that he rose to be one of the forefathers in humanistic psychology, because when you look at his life and his history, he literally describes his childhood as sad and lonely. So how does someone who had a sad and lonely childhood rise to the place where they become a forefather of humanistic psychology? And it is through the development of mastery. So let's talk about his hierarchy of needs. So Maslow argues that there are just some basic things that we as human beings that we need to be our best selves. And he calls self-actualization the state of being your best self. But before we get there, there are literally 4 things that we have to do before we get there, 4 needs that we have to realize before we are able to realize self-actualization. And they are hierarchical. So at the bottom level of Maslow's pyramid, you will find physiological needs: food, clothing, shelter. We all need it. After your basic physiological needs, then Maslow argues you must feel safe in your environment. You have to feel safe in your environment. Once you have your basic needs met, you feel safe in your environment, then you need to have a sense of belonging. You need to know that you have someone in this world who is looking for you, checking for you, celebrating you, excited when they see you. You need to know that you belong somewhere. Then you will be able to develop self-esteem. When all of those things are happening, when you have your basic needs met, when you feel safe, when you know that there's somebody in this world who is looking for you, likes you, wants to be in your presence, then you can feel good about yourself. And once you feel good about yourself, then you will most likely than not be able to take risk, to be okay with learning from your mistakes. You will do the hard things that are necessary to grow. You will self-actualize. But what does that have to do with mastery? A lot. When we are thinking about those self-esteem and self-actualization needs, mastery is really the cornerstone of those. And let me explain. Let me try to make this make sense for you. When we are talking about mastery, again, when we go back to my definition, it's not about excelling academically. It's not about excelling in a sport. It is feeling good about yourself. It is feeling good about a skill or a competency that you have developed. That is good, high, positive self-esteem. What does it have to do with self-actualization? Remember, once you feel good about yourself, then you will be willing to take risk. You will be willing to challenge yourself. You will be willing to grow. And the only way that you will do that is through learning and trying, being consistent and persevering. And that is a part of the journey of mastery. No one is an expert the first time they try something. You have to continue to persevere. You have to fail. You have to make mistakes en route to developing a skill, en route to becoming an expert. Does that make sense? So when we're talking about mastery, self-esteem and self-actualization, they all kind of go hand in hand. You cannot have self-esteem. You certainly cannot actualize without embarking upon the journey of mastery. So what does mastery look like at the different levels? We certainly do not expect an elementary school student who is just beginning their journey of mastery to look like a high school student who is on the end of their journey to mastery, going into adulthood, going into career, thriving, right? So what does it look like at the different stages? In elementary school, mastery can be as simple as being curious. So in elementary school, children are trying to figure out what do I like? What am I good at? What does pique my interest? And so you will find that they will be exploring multiple different things. They may be curious about, helping you out with making meals. They may want to go with you when you work out or do yoga with you. Like their curiosity is at an all-time high because they're trying to figure things out and determine what they do and don't like. In middle school, adolescents are probably in the process more of eliminating hobbies, right? So they've dibbled and dabbled in this and that, and they are starting to really identify and hone in on specific skills. So they're no longer being curious in middle school. In middle school, they are more in the process of weeding out things based upon what they enjoy, number one, and then what they find themselves excelling in, what they feel good, what they feel like they are good in or competent in. So in elementary school, where you may find that a child is interested in all the things, in middle school, they're going to start to fine tune and focus in on one thing. By the time a student gets to high school, though, they are thriving. They have truly well-developed skill set. So this is, for example, a young person who in elementary school may have been interested in the arts, may have been interested in soccer, may have been interested in the culinary arts. In middle school, decided that of all of the things that they were initially interested in, they are definitely interested in playing an instrument. By the time this very same young person makes it to high school, they are more likely than not participating in competitions. They may be auditioning for different programs. They may even be interested in going to a conservatory after high school as opposed to going to a regular college. Why? Because they have identified a skill, they have identified a competency that they are doing well in, that they are thriving in, and that thing has become their focus for life. So that's the key. When we are talking about mastery, we are talking about developing skills over a lifetime that will take you to high school and beyond, career and beyond. You are likely developing skills and talents that will really define and dictate your character throughout your life. So a good example of this is a podcast that I recently watched with Priscilla Shire, and she was talking about how to be a good leader. But in this particular podcast, she talked about how her aunt, when she was 10 years old, pulled her aside and had her to teach a Sunday school class. And it was in that moment that she realized that she had skills that she could captivate people. And to this day, and I believe she just turned 50, if I can recall correctly from her IG page. To this day, 40 years later, she is very much so renowned for her speaking talent. She is renowned for her leadership skills and ability. But those all started when she was 10 years old, and it started with her aunt encouraging her. So then, how do we encourage the young people in our lives to begin their journey towards mastery? There are 5 things that we can do to encourage mastery in the children and youth in our lives. 5 things. We can provide opportunities. We can offer support. We can celebrate effort. We can model perseverance, and we can create safe and supportive environments. One more time. Provide opportunities, offer support, celebrate effort, model perseverance, and create safe and supportive environments. Now, let me just stop and say, this does not have to be a big, drawn-out ordeal. It doesn't have to be expensive. It's simple things that you can do at home, simple creative things that you can do just in your day-to-day life to foster mastery in a child or a youth that you love. So let's talk about it. The first one is provide opportunities. So going back to my example earlier, talking about the young person who was interested in the arts, right, and playing an instrument. You could very simply provide opportunities by sharing, for example, a YouTube video of a music teacher who you think is a good music teacher, teaching them how to play a song on their instrument. That's free. It doesn't require you to do anything outside of the norm, yet you're providing an opportunity for your young person to practice, to get better, and to develop a competency. You can offer support, right? So that very same example can also be an example of you offering support. By you sharing that YouTube video with the young person in your life, you are telling them, I see you, I support you, I am proud of you. Celebrating their effort. Now, celebrating their effort is more than just showing up at the championship game. Celebrating their effort is more than just showing up to their 10-week recital. Celebrating their effort means that you celebrate their consistency over time. You celebrate, affirm, acknowledge, and let them know that you are proud of them when they find themselves struggling, when it's no longer fun, when they are expected to learn more, to go deeper into their craft. Celebrate their successes, celebrate their consistency, celebrate their failures. Help them to understand again that making mistakes and failing is a part of the process. You learn from mistakes. You learn when you don't get it right the first time. But celebrate the fact that they keep coming back. Celebrate the fact that they continue to persevere. Just let them know that mistakes are a part of the process. Model perseverance. I say all the time that modeling is the most effective teacher. Children and youth learn best from what we do and not what we say. So if you are, for example, celebrating their effort, but giving up every time things get hard for you, you're sending a conflicting message. So you have to model perseverance. When things get hard for you, say that. When things get hard for you, I'm gonna say that one more time, say that, and continue going. Don't give up. Show them what a journey to mastery looks like. Let them know that perseverance is part of the process. And then this links itself to the fifth thing that we can do, and that's safe and supportive environments. Again, when you listen to the youth council and you talk to children and youth, the one thing that they say that they need more than anything is to be seen and heard. So when you are doing all of these things, when you're providing opportunities, when you're offering support, when you're celebrating their efforts, when you're modeling perseverance, what you are doing is creating a safe and supportive environment for your young person. And that's important because in creating that safe and supportive environment, they will feel comfortable to do hard things because they will not feel judged. By creating that safe and supportive environment, you are creating a space where they feel like they can come and talk to you and share with you their challenges and their difficulties, and they will know that you will hear them and that you will act accordingly. Like if they have a request of you, if they need your help for something, then they know that they can count on you to do that thing because you've already created an environment where it's okay to be your true and authentic self. So in summary, the 5 things that we can do to support the children and youth in our lives: provide opportunities, offer support, celebrate effort, model perseverance, and create safe and supportive environments. So when you do these things, what does it look like? I encourage you to go back to the June episode of Miss Dr. Kenya. On that episode, I spoke with 4 members of the Youth Council. I spoke with Lang, who's in middle school, Now and Fola, who are both in high school, and we spoke to Ayema, who recently graduated and is now in college and career. So we spoke to 4 young people in 3 different stages of life, and each of them talked about their journey to mastery. When you hear them talk about and reflect on their school year last year, they do not paint a pretty picture. They don't try to convince you that it was all rainbows and butterflies. They're very transparent about their struggles. Lane talked about how he had to shift and learn how to write APA style, and that was hard for him. Fola talked about how she had to engage in some introspection so that she could improve in areas where she felt like she was weak. Ayema talked about how senioritis really snuck up on him, in March. So they all talk about their struggles, and they share how the support and the encouragement of a parent, an educator, or other caring adult helped them to persevere and ultimately finish the school year successfully. My own personal journey with mastery. I sit before you today as Miss Dr. Kenya, yes, but the process began long, long, long ago when I was in elementary school and just naturally curious about human behavior. I thought it was very, very interesting how different people showed up. I paid attention to how brothers and sisters in the same household really showed up quite differently. I did a lot of people watching, I did a lot of reading, I did a lot of studying. When I made it to middle school and high school, I also did volunteer opportunities. When I went to college, I started to do internships. I was very specific with my internships, allowed myself to um, intern in different settings as it relates to mental health. Like there's all sorts of different settings with mental health. You can be in a hospital setting, you can be in a forensic setting, you can be in a community setting and school setting, all sorts of different settings. But it was through my internships in college that I really, really fell in love with working with children in schools. And as you already know, I began to hone in on school-based mental health support. But I have to be honest, the process and the journey was not easy. I had many ups and even more downs. However, what helped me to persevere was knowing or feeling good about my competencies and my skills. What helped me to keep going was having, a mother who supported me, grandparents who supported me, godparents who supported me, friends and family who supported me and cheered me on along the process, right? So when you're talking about developing mastery, I don't want to make you think that it's simple, that it's linear. I do want to emphasize that it is absolutely necessary for our young people to grow, to mature, to evolve, to stretch, and to ultimately become the best versions of themselves, or to self-actualize if we're going to use Maslow's theory. So needless to say, there are numerous long-term benefits to developing mastery. Um, First and foremost, it can lead to greater career success. Again, when you self-actualize, you are more willing to do hard things. You are more willing to take risk. It increases your self-esteem. Again, going back to my earlier example, you feel good about yourself as you're developing your skill. And it leads to a stronger sense of purpose and fulfillment in life. However, I do want to call out the obvious, right? So if developing mastery helps you to do all of these things, then the opposite is also true. If a young person does not develop mastery, then their opportunities to feel good about themselves are drastically decreased. If a young person is not encouraged to develop mastery, then it's far less likely that they will do hard things. Why? Because they're afraid of making mistakes. They feel like if they make a mistake, it is a direct reflection of them, and it somehow means that they are a bad person, somehow means that they are not good enough, and that's not true. So just like developing mastery has positive outcomes, the lack of mastery can have very negative outcomes and devastating outcomes. So we want to do everything we can as caring adults to support and encourage our children to find something that they are good at, something that they enjoy. We want to make sure that we're supporting and encouraging them throughout the process. That's the ups and the downs, and that we are giving them opportunities, that we're giving them space to make mistakes to learn from their mistakes, to be curious, and ultimately to grow and evolve. This is critical as we think about going into next school year and you want to set your child up for success. One of the easiest things you can do is encourage your young person in their journey towards mastery. So with that, I want to share an exciting opportunity with you. On August 17th, I will be hosting a free 3-hour webinar entitled 3 Strategies to a Successful School Year. Start strong, stay strong, finish strong. And in this particular webinar, we're going to take a deeper dive. We are going to identify some practical strategies that you can implement and maintain throughout the school year to make sure that your young person has a successful school year. Now, again, what I identify as success is not an A+. What I identify as success is your young person feeling good about themselves from the inside out. And if they feel good about themselves from the inside out, they will be giving everything that they do their best effort. Now, if their best effort is not an A+, it's still okay, as long as they're showing up and being their best selves. And so if you are interested in that opportunity, I encourage you to join me. Scan the QR code or click on the registration link, and I look forward to seeing you on August 17th. In the meantime, I thank you for joining me on today. I hope I didn't keep you long. It's just me, and I'm sitting here talking to myself, and that's not fun. But I did want to stop and pause and give you a summary of everything that we've been talking about this month and why we've been talking about it. Share this video with someone that you think can benefit from it. Like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Bye.